Hi Alicia, hi Carsten, hi Sightarm, hi Surrey, hi Dixie and hi Galen. No, hi Jaden. Guess who's reading off the nearby friends list? And getting that wrong, good start. It's okay, we're only now rolling on to the hour. That was just the rehearsal.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Can you hear me now? Just kidding.
I can hear you now too.
Yeah.
Keep this going. Are we nearly there yet?
Are we there yet? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking about the old, what was it, Verizon commercial? Can you
Yes.
hear
Me too. Me too.
Oh, I wouldn't know that one.
Daddy's touching me.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of it.
That's mine. I'll stop. I'll stop before I start.
Jay, have you gone live on the stream? Are you
I
there?
went live
Yeah, stream's
about
live.
2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's still a few people arriving, so we'll just hang around and talk about whipped cream and crumpets, tea, and
Big
jam.
rocks
Yum.
in the middle of nowhere?
Big rock, yeah, that'll do. We'll talk about how comfortable it is to sit on those seats at the front, shall we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about those seats there at the front.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I should do some animations for the comfort of those seats.
Yeah, I think we should just go to IKEA and buy some new seats. Oh, did we put an announcement in Discord, Dixie?
I did not.
Okay, what should we say? We're waiting for you now. Get your bums over to the assembly.
Yeah,
Maybe not
you
that
go ahead.
subtle,
You
huh?
go right ahead.
Get your bottoms in the seat.
Yeah. Was that a British accent attempted there? Events. Bum, bum, bum.
It sounds like someone's
There we
whipping
go,
the cream
Festus.
for the tea and scones.
Oh, does that my seagulls again? Shall I shut the window?
Nah. Leave it open.
The roof
you'll
of
be
my
sweating.
house. The roof of my house is a hotbed for seagulls to nurture their young. They lay the eggs on top of the houses as a substitute for the cliffs because there's no more fish in the sea for them to get. So they've adopted the tops of the houses near me, and
Oh
we
my
regularly
gosh.
get new seagulls born and fallen off the roof, and we have to throw them back up so they can get fed before their things are working. And
Wait,
Nice.
who are we throwing
seagull
off the
city
roof?
here.
It's funny you should
Not
say
you,
that.
don't worry.
It's funny you should say that, Sight, that there's 37 British dialects, because me and Paul have got totally different dialects and people still confuse me and Paul.
Great.
Yeah, apparently we've got the same. Apparently we have the same accent, except to Richie and I, we might as well be foreign to each other for our accents because Richie's accent's so different to mine.
Yeah, you guys don't sound anything alike.
Oh, good.
Not
Thankfully,
really, no.
An American that agrees. Wow.
I don't think y'all sound anything
I don't think
alike.
I do.
Rich,
You're going to laugh at this. I was talking to Rowan the other day, and he inadvertently called me Richie, and I said, Rowan, it's Paul. And he said, oh, I'm so sorry, Paul. I think of you and Richie as one entity. You're Richie Paul to me.
Yeah, he told me the same
I
thing.
thought that-
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we're just one sort of symbiotic entity or something.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
apparently how he thinks of you.
I'm
Join
not sure
the
if it's a
hip.
good thing or a bad thing, but it's funny.
The dynamic duo.
Oh my God, that was a
I'll let
phrase Richie kept drumming up.
I will let you guys hash it out among yourselves which one's Batman and which one's Robin.
Oh,
I'm not wearing the spandex.
not going there.
That's Richie's got those legs. Anyway, I think we'll start rolling things. We've got a few things to go through today. We're going to split the event up a little bit. We're just going to talk for a bit now. We've got an announcement for some new features to Vivox coming up. I'm not going to tell you too much about that. Josh will fill you in on that once he takes over. But what we're looking for now is a volunteer to do something a little bit different. Let me scan around and pick on somebody completely at random who has no idea we're going to pick on them. Sorry, where are you? He's not disappeared, has he?
Hiding.
He's here somewhere.
Ah, there
making
you are. You're
hay.
hiding. What?
He's
Why are you
avoiding
hiding?
you.
This is spontaneous. You didn't know about this.
I don't usually say anything in office hours. I just listen to Josh's opposite tone.
But you won't mind being manipulated and instructed. Is that okay?
I'm used to being manipulated. I'm married, for crying out loud.
Okay. Well, we'll
Not that
pretend
bad.
just for now that Dixie and you are going to have a little conversation, and Dixie is going to show you the ropes on the Snapshot tool, which I know you don't know a huge amount about. I know you've played around with it. What we're going to hope to do is get you to take some pictures, save them to your photo album, and sort of show off a few little tricks that Dixie's going to show you. We will stand in the scene with you if you want us involved, the rest of us. And at the end, we'll be able to look at your profile and see the pictures that you've taken. And we might pick up some tips or just have a bit of fun for 10 minutes or so. So, sorry. And Dixie, I'll hand it over to you.
Ah,
And
yeah.
good luck, sorry.
Oh, we're doing this now. We're not listening to Josh first.
No.
No, we're not listening to Josh first. We're going to go straight
Why
into
would
it.
we do that?
It's no good trying to put it off. Sorry.
We've got a finite amount of time, and Josh can just fill the rest of the time because you guys have so many questions. There's never enough time to get them all in, so we're not taking too much time. But you're not getting out of this. So here we go. Go on, let's go.
So I dug into the snapshot tool because I've had a lot of people asking me specifics on the snapshot tool, which is kind of odd to me because it seems pretty straightforward. You know, you click snapshot down there at the bottom of your screen. And oh, I froze up. Hold on.
Yeah.
You click snapshot down there at the bottom of your screen and you take a picture and you're off with it, right? No. No, it's more in depth than that. Did you know? Did you know that you could hit control and the little apostrophe up there below the tilde? I'm going to type it in chat. You could hit control and that little apostrophe under the tilde. I don't know what it's called. But you can hit that to bring up your snapshot. So, like, if you're in a hurry, there's your keyboard shortcut. Boom. I love that. I love keyboard shortcuts.
I'm just having to go back to the. So, what's a grave button? Control plus left apostrophe. Okay, left apostrophe.
Yeah.
Okay, it brings up. It just brings up. It's like a hotkey, right? But it just brings up the menu.
Yeah, it brings up the snapshot, so you don't have to go click at the bottom of your
Then you've
screen
got-
whenever you're doing something.
So then you've got 6 symbols above a whole bunch of, I assume angles from selfie body to underwater, on the moon, blah, 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 blah. I mean, this
Yeah.
R1, back 3, sort of sounds like a
sorry I lost you there for a second, but yeah.
Yeah, I didn't hear you. Sorry.
No.
Yep.
Sorry. What I was saying was that when I opened the menu, there's 6 symbols, and then below which there's a whole series of options from flip,
Uh-huh.
fashion pose to blah blah blah.
Well, those 6 symbols on the top, you could change your camera angle. If you have it pink highlighted on camera, you can choose any of these camera angles you want. Poses is the same
The
thing.
symbols mean nothing to me. What's this?
It tells you underneath the symbol what it is. On the camera one, it'll give you different camera angles, and you choose from any of those.
Oh, hang on a second. This might actually explain something else.
And then same goes for poses and filters and overlays and on and on. It'll just give you a whole separate group of.
Oh, I see.
Camera angles, poses, filters, etc.
Oh man, I've now covered myself in so many bits and pieces. I just exit out of this reset. Okay, so you just want me to take a picture of myself, right?
Yeah, sure, if you want to.
Okay, I'm taking a picture. What do you
Cool.
do? You email it to someone? Upload to library, save to this computer.
Yeah, save it to your computer so we can have a look afterwards.
Save it to your album
Okay,
so
save
we
and
can have a
upload.
look afterwards.
Sorry, I meant your
Yeah.
album. Sorry, completely.
Yeah,
What
no,
my
I've done
mouth
that
was
now.
saying wasn't what my head said.
And then you can share on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Aware of that.
Yeah, there's a lot of choices there. On the top box, you can edit what you, but you don't have to edit it. But that's basically in the top box. It tells you what the location was where you took the picture. In the middle box, um, like I say, you could change these. It'll tell you again where you took the picture, but you could put a caption on it if you wanted to, or a description of the picture or what you were doing in the picture. Um, and you could leave it the same, but I usually type something funny in there because I'm weird that way. Now, at the bottom of that screen, you could do several things. You can email this to a person, which is kind of cool, if you know their email address, of course.
Yeah.
You can upload it to your library, which is what we want you to do so we can see the picture in World. And that refers to your gallery on your profile. Or you can save the snapshot to your own computer for later.
Selfie.
Now, at the bottom of that interface is you can make the picture your profile picture if you want. Save and upload it means that you have selected that you want to upload it to your hard drive. Save indicates that you have selected that you want to put it in your gallery. So, and when you're all ready for it, you can just hit the button, or of course you can retake the photo if you don't like that one. You can just retake it.
Well, I've just taken a photograph and I've uploaded it to my profile, and it's got Alicia and Les in the frame behind me.
Nice.
Someone stood behind me. I'm not sure who it is. That is probably no, Cindy. Sorry, Cindy.
Yeah, it's Cindy.
Cindy's sort of hiding behind me there, but I've uploaded it and it's my profile now.
Awesome.
Hi, Cindy. I can see you today.
In certain viewers, after you get done with all of that, it will come up and say if you want to share it to Facebook, Twitter, or otherwise. LinkedIn, I believe, is one.
Exactly.
And that's really cool. I don't know if that's a feature on all viewers, but so far up to now, it's been a feature on all viewers. So everybody can do this. Now, if you wanted to take a picture of, like, I'm standing way, way, way over here by Galen and
Yeah.
this, and Jamie is standing way over there, and I want to take a picture of Jamie. I could do several things. I could click on her avatar and then select inspect avatar, or I could hold down the left alt key and move my camera all the way over there to her and take a picture of her. So I thought that was really cool too. You don't have to take a picture of just you. You can take a picture of scenery or anything in the region that you want. And that's a lot of fun.
Right, so I've just moved the camera angle and I've saved that to my project so you can see what I've done. Using the left alt key and the mouse to. So we've got Carsten being very cool, sat down chairs, and everyone else stood around. But Carsten works very hard, so he needs to rest. He needs to rest.
Yeah, he's taken time off while
He's
you
good,
mess
yeah.
around with the camera.
He's got tired
We're really
legs.
gonna have to
For
get Adam
those that-
to update this region at some point because these animations are not the greatest.
They're not, no.
No,
Really-
they're not.
Really, really
They're
could
quite
use
old now.
yeah, really could use a polished pass on this region at some point.
Yeah. Facindio, I think, has just joined us. We're just running through a quick tutorial and certain tips with the Snapshot tool. And we're using Surrey as a guinea pig since he offered under duress. Isn't that right? Sorry.
Yeah.
But fun fact, I had never taken a profile photo.
Josh!
Yeah, somehow I've gone all this time. I was like, oh yeah, I should probably do that. But then it's actually in my profile. It cuts off top and bottom, so you can't.
I'm going to have a look now, your profile picture.
Yeah, it's just a random.
Okay. Yeah.
Just chops my head
That,
off.
that's
there.
like you were, yeah, somebody was walking along with their camera and they accidentally clicked. It was just aiming anywhere in the hand.
Yeah, I guess it actually looks better if you resize the window a bit. But if the window is like wide, then it scales horizontally. So then you just see like between my neck
Yeah.
and my knees. I'll have to rethink that
That's all I
later.
can
But
see.
that's fine.
But to be fair, you rarely look like that anyway. Normally you're a slug or
that's-
something.
Yeah, this is not my usual look. Well, technically it is my usual look. Just I'm not usually wearing my usual look.
Okay. Yeah. how are you doing with the snapshot, sorry?
Yeah, I'm
Still beavering away?
taking more shots.
Woohoo.
Are we going to be impressed?
No.
Oh,
No.
that's it. Play it down so that when we see it expecting it to be rubbish, we're going to be amazed.
Set the expectations low, and then it's easy to jump over them.
That's it. You appear to be just floating in the air at the moment.
Yeah, I need to get up so I can
Taking
get a better
pictures.
perspective.
Oh, okay.
Can't do that in real life.
I'm sorry.
Exactly.
I wasn't meaning to rush the professional photographer here. Lining shots up, listen to him.
Got to get the depth of field
Exactly.
just right.
Yeah.
It's just a group shot to show evidence. At the next board call, I can say, well, Josh was there, Les was there, Jaden was there, Tixie was there.
We should be huddle a bit if you group shot.
Yeah.
Should we all huddle and get a group shot?
Let's
and,
huddle.
All huddling and
Bring
then
involve a
and then Hurry's
all over the place.
Surrey's got to say, everybody say cheese.
Yeah,
Yep.
right.
Or sausages?
Cheese or sausages, or put bunny
Okay.
ears on less because
Biscuits
he's gotta
and
do something
gravy.
about that ahead.
Okay, Huddle means huddle, not stand around like a. Is that on the right hand side?
It's like you're about to call us to attention.
This is good practice for Karsten in his wedding photos.
There you go.
Yeah.
And,
Cheese.
Okay, here we go.
I'm
Say cheese
flattered,
again.
guys.
Cheese.
I've just
Cheese.
taken a photograph. I'm sure that experimenting with background, foreground, contrast, and special effects, I can get a better picture, but I kind of got an idea of what you can do. I must confess, I've just lit a snapshot and take the pictures without trying to manipulate it. So this has been informative. Thank you.
Excellent.
So how do
That was what we
we
wanted
all
to
get
do.
into the jumping pose? How do we all get into that? We all see it.
Wonder
You
if we all
can't
do it.
You can't share an
Yeah.
experience on the snapshot tool at this time.
That is something we should add. Is everybody else seeing?
However, that would be an
post-effects?
awesome feature.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
I believe it's been a requested feature before. It just hasn't been implemented yet.
Otherwise, you have to
Yeah.
hand out the pose to everybody.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the other way.
Well, it's probably not a huge amount of work to do that. Just adding some networking components to it. So something we should look at doing sooner rather than later.
Yeah, the
Yep,
action
give
shot
yourself more
like-
work, Josh.
like-
Yeah,
guys,
well, I didn't say I was gonna do it.
Oh.
Guys, can
I-
I ask
I-
a question? How can I take some video of what's going on in world?
You can take an animated GIF, I believe. But if you're gonna do like solid video recording, I don't think we have a built-in video recorder that dumps to file yet. That's something
Richie
we've been
is
talking about
streaming
adding.
this, though.
Yeah.
No,
but-
Richie is
for
streaming
example, it's Mimi here with us. I don't know if Mimi's here, but for example,
But if-
she's sometimes in Discord, she's uploaded a 2-3 second, see people dancing. Can you do that?
Well, that would be a GIF file. You can do
how
that
do you do
with Gazio.
Oh, yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
Do you use
I
Light
see.
Shot?
Captures animated.
That's
GIFs
why you'd use
in
both.
3 seconds.
Light Shot is better for single sort of static shots, I think, and Gazio does GIFs, which Light Shot doesn't.
Yeah, but the snapshot tool actually does have a capture as animated GIF, and you can specify a time period built into it.
Exactly.
So
That's
does
true.
Snapshot tool take away the UI automatically?
Yeah, it does when you're taking a snapshot. You can also manually turn it off by pressing F9, I guess, if you aren't using the snapshot
Yeah, that was
tool.
my next question.
Yeah, if
F9,
you're
yeah.
not
Not
Alt-U,
used shooting
Alt-U
video,
also
remember?
works.
yeah, Alt-U is the same thing.
Yeah.
So you can hide the entire UI if you press F9 or Alt-U. Now that will hide the sign space UI if there's other UIs that are like built into the region, for example. Those may not hide because those are custom UIs added to the region specifically.
Well, can't wait
Yeah.
for the Space Navigator driver to get fixed, and then we can start shooting some videos.
Oh,
Is that-
don't. As soon as that gets fixed, I'm gonna have to buy one. I've been putting it off because it isn't working at the moment.
Is that still is it still like the tilted axis issue, or is there another issue with it?
Yeah, the roll axis. You start to do a movement, and then once you hit the roll axis, you lose control, and then you
okay.
have to start over, and it's just futile.
Yeah,
And-
that one
But
has
in
been-
Unity Editor, it works great.
Yeah.
Two ways. You can move the model around, or you can move around your scene. So if you don't have one now and you're working in Unity, you should have one.
I have one. I've never really felt it was more useful than the mouse typically to operate with. But maybe if I got used to it after a while, I'm
I was going
largely.
to say it's a case again. I was going
Yeah,
to say it's a
I'm
case of getting
largely
used to it. There's
using
no
joystick.
different.
Well, because
Yeah.
the different apps have different key commands like Maya and Autodesk and Blender.
I guess it would
and
sort
then
of unify them a bit.
I just go with the Flycam mouse because then I don't have to remember which key moves what.
Sure, that makes sense. Yeah, actually, Deluxe was just saying a little script that we could add to UI game elements that will hide them along with the main UI could be useful. I think there is a component that will scale it with the main UI, so that same component could probably be, if it doesn't already, be updated to listen for that trigger.
Hmm.
So yeah, that would be useful, just to be able to toggle it off. Of course, the custom UI can have its its own hide show function if it wanted to. It could also just listen to the same button, but it would be really problematic if it got out of sync. You'd be turning one off while
Yeah.
the other one turned on. But there's there's some scripting functions for accessing the main UI elements. You can probably check what the current status of the UI is. Let me see. Yeah, if you do space.ui.showUI, that's both a get and a set. So you should be able to say, if this is true, then make mine true. If it's false, then make mine false.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I've
it
just
would be very
gone,
useful for Machinima, of course. But it's something that can already be done. It's just I think most people just don't think about doing it. But we could make it a little bit easier to set up that way.
that'd be good. I'm just taking a look at Surrey's profile and I see the snapshot. So if you guys want to take a look as well,
Dave's got
couple
several of them in
group
there.
shots. Yeah.
You can see there he's got his UIs on the right side of the screen there. I think it's the UI he's wearing.
Yeah, that's a bracelet spiral. It makes me do things like this.
What are we looking for? His profile
Yeah.
looks normal, unless I go to photos.
Yeah, that's what we're talking
We've
about.
just been doing a tutorial on how, or a sort of a guide and tips on how to use the Snapshot tool site. So we used, or Surrey volunteered to sort of be the guy that we were training, so to speak, and
Oh, no,
Dixie talked him through using features. So we were just looking at the profile to see the pictures he'd taken.
No, I was there, and he already has a comment on one of his pictures. I'll have you know.
Yeah,
Positive
some people
comment.
have been sneaking in and commenting on them.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've probably spent enough time on that because we are like
Indeed.
almost half an hour in now. So
Yep,
let's see
totally
if we can
agree.
get some questions. Useful, but let's not take up the entire hour with it here.
Yep. Okay, over to you, Josh. And also, you can tell them about the Vivox thing now as well.
Yeah, that's related actually to a question that Alicia just asked in chat there, which is where's 2B6X, and they want to play with the new camera angle adjustment features. Yeah, the 2B6X viewer, we're probably going to be building another one tonight or tomorrow. And the reason is because we just did it's been sort of planned for a while, and early stages of it have been in progress for a while, but we decided to crunch out the big Vivox update that we've been sitting on for a variety of reasons. But in addition, it's an incredible improvement. The Vivox system that we had before was a little bit older, and it was kind of the early Vivox 5 kit, and it just had a lot of problems. Everybody has been frustrated with it. Every time Adam tries to use it, because he's in Australia, it would he was sounding robotic and hyper compressed, and we were losing every other word that he was coming through. It was never very functional for him, and just ongoing problems with it. So in order to, I think we've also discussed in the past that there was some issues with like device selection was broken on it, on the version of the Vivox SDK that we were using. So you couldn't pick which input output device you were using, things like that. There was also, we encountered some issues with spatialization, attempting to make spatialization work with the older kit. So it kind of piled up, and we're like this is something that we have to fix right now. So over the last 2 days, we finished gutting out the old Vivox, which was a tangled web, and installing the new Vivox, the latest version of their SDK. and the improvement is just phenomenal. Like the audio quality is way higher than it was. Adam's clear and consistent and not dropping on it even from Australia. Spatialized audio works now with Vivox. We're actually going to probably enable spatial audio by default now across just all of Sciencebase. If a specific region wants to drop it, then they'll be able to turn that off for a specific region. But it's such a huge improvement in just the usability of voice to have it spatialized to you that we're going to have it on by default. And we're kind of experimenting with ranges on that. Right now, we've got it set to about 16 meters as maximum listenable distance, and then somewhere around 2 or 3 meters is like your conversational distance, where like you're gonna be your loudest within like 3 meters of buddy, and then you'll drop off steadily to 16 meters, and then you aren't being heard anymore. But we'll tweak those numbers as it seems like it makes sense. We're also getting device selection hooked up, works in this version, so just across the board, it just fixes so many problems that we were having with Vivox, and it brings us up to really a standard that we needed to be at a long time, and that is, everybody just kind of logs in and expects spatialized audio, and we just weren't supporting it on Vivox because it just wasn't working on that SDK. But now it is. So we have a working version of that in the viewer right now. It's undergoing QA to make sure that it doesn't flip out or do anything weird, like when you're moving around between different voice zones. But one of the benefits of having spatialized audio support there in the first place is we won't just need nearly as many voice zones for many projects, because you're just every 16, anybody that's farther than 16 meters away from you, or 10 meters or whatever seems reasonable for a given region, just is not audible anyway. So it kind of takes away much of the need to arbitrarily box off voice zones on that, which is it's going to be great. So yeah, voice zones are a pain. They're very useful sometimes. Sometimes you want to have an area where you're guaranteed, nobody outside that area can hear you, or if you're in close quarters, maybe you want to drop the voice range down to a few meters, and when you go outside, you want the range to be 20 meters. Just the ability to control that range on a location by location basis still makes voice zones useful, but uh, the need for them should dramatically drop off with spatialization enabled by default and just available as an option. So that's in the 2B series viewers now. Adam and I got a working version of it done yesterday. We're still polishing off a few little things, like related to like voice zone transitions and stuff like that, making sure that it works correctly and that nothing got broken in the upgrade, because it was a substantial rework of the code involved there. But yeah, I know it's just on one hand, it's yet another thing that we're like, okay, well now we're waiting on that, and I understand that that, but it was something that had to happen, just because the voice over IP quality that we had before was just not very good at all. Will spatial work inside a voice zone? Yes, each voice zone has its own spatial controls, so you can specify whether any given voice zone is spatial or is not spatial, and they can also have their own custom spatial distances set, so you can have one zone where it's 5 meters and one zone where it's 10 meters and one zone where there's no spatial at all, so everybody just hears each other at full volume. That's fully configurable through the voice zone component now. Should be very flexible. But like I said, I think in general for many projects, you just will find you won't need that many voice zones anymore. And then we had somebody who was earlier talking about the 3D navigator. That's been a long-standing issue. I'm going to put it on my calendar to look at it this weekend, and because I have one. I know where that code is, so it shouldn't be a huge amount of work to go in and do some experimentation of figuring out where the roll axis is going wrong. So I'm promising you that I'm going to look at the Space Navigator this weekend before the next office hours that we do, because I would like to have it working too. So let me just add that real quick, just so I don't forget it in the copious to-do list that we all have. Space Navigator. Okay. Yeah. I will look at that this weekend. Let's see what else. The only thing we're waiting on otherwise for the 2B viewer is Adam is going to dive in there and figure out what's wrong with fog, because we have that issue where it's ruining everybody's hair, and obviously we can't have that. Hair is of the utmost importance. If you don't have good hair, then you might as well just not even be here. So we're as soon as we've finished sorting out the Vivox issues, um, which is today and tomorrow, then Adam should be able to jump in and fix the fog. And that's really our only blocking issues at the moment is making sure we didn't break anything with Vivox and fixing the fog. And then we'll all be very happy to give you a 2B6X viewer. Yeah, fog here would be kind of interesting. Somebody's free to do that, like attach a fog volume to somebody's head. That would be quite interesting. Actually, I'm not sure how that would work, but in theory it could, because I know the fog volumes can occupy a space. It doesn't have to be the entire region. So, yeah, those fog machines in the shop are probably particle based. Those are different than the kind of fog we're talking about, Rob. But yeah, particle. If you want to do like region wide particle fog, that can get really expensive really fast, and if it's not done very well, it tends to look very odd. But we have a new fog system that we added a week or two ago that replaces the very slow, very inflexible, very problematic built-in Unity fog with a new post effects based fog, which is just phenomenally faster. And it works. It works an absolute treat, except some shaders go transparent in it. So and a lot of hair shaders fall on that list. So we just want to sort that out before we give it to you. And everybody's walking around with hair that's silhouetted against their head instead of looking normal. Yeah, you could replace the fog in Mirror Shot. It's actually super simple. Just go grab the fog volume 3 off the Unity asset store and drop it into the project. Who comes here for the fog? Everybody comes here for the fog. I mean, fog is just one of those you can there's post effects versions, and then there's volumetric versions, and it's all about the graphical fidelity, the atmosphere that a particular region produces, and sometimes you just can't get that atmosphere without a little haze or fog in the area. There's so many uses for just a fog volume. You can do things like make shrouded dark doorways that get darker as you peer into them, because you've just essentially that's fog that's set to black, so it gets darker as you go deeper into it. There's just a lot of cool things you can do with it for creating more interesting atmospheres. I'm getting a little bit of an echo of myself. Somebody has their microphone on. Not sure who that is. Yeah.
No, it's not me, honestly. It was. Sorry.
I think you protest too much.
So I did. Right, muting it. All right.
Yeah, and so in regards to the camera stuff, that actually is in the viewers now. Adam actually last time we talked about it, he's actually added some more camera options since then. He kind of a little bit of a dog with a bone there. He's like, "Oh, I just thought of something else I can add," and so he keeps going back to play with it and add to it, which is actually fairly simple to do at this point. So, and I'm still getting an echo of myself. Somebody has still got their microphone on. Oh, I think it just turned off. Yeah, so we'll get a build for you. Even if we don't fix the fog issue today or tomorrow, hopefully we'll be able to get you a build to play with the camera controls. And then the fog issue will just be a build after that. But we'll see what we can do. Probably tomorrow. Because there's a few more things we want to touch up on the Vivox rig before we give it to you. Now, that being said, the Vivox upgrade does come with a little bit of a downside, and that is it's not backwards compatible. So if you download the 2B6X viewers and you log in, then you will be able to hear and talk joyfully with other people on 2B6 viewers. And spatial audio will work and all that kind of fun stuff. But if you try to talk to somebody on a 1B series viewer or an older 2B viewer, they probably will not be able to hear you, just because of the spatial audio setup. So this is actually a good time for us to be doing that, because when we dumped the 2B17 viewer, we were going to make a mandatory update anyway. So we would just mandatorily update everybody to a version of the viewer that has the new Vivox setup in it, which is another one of the reasons that we decided that to go ahead and do it now, because if we're doing a mandatory update anyway, we might as well do it once and get all of that out of the way. Otherwise, we would have to do a mandatory update after 2017, and then later a new mandatory update after doing the Vivox update. And it was going to be a huge hassle for everybody if we had two mandatory updates in a short span of time. So we're like, let's just compress this. Let's do one mandatory update that takes care of everything all at once. So just a fair warning, if you are going to be testing out the 2B6X viewers before they go to the public grid, if you download them off of staging or preview, you probably will find yourself not being able to talk to everyone, and that is intentional, and there's no fix for that other than them being on a newer version of the viewer as well. One of the hazards of testing work in progress viewers is sometimes things aren't compatible with older viewers. It should not lose anyone. Like, everyone, if you can run the 1B series viewer, you should be able to run the 2B series viewer. And if you can't, then like I said, we will sit down with you and see if we can figure out what specifically is preventing that. If you are someone who currently cannot run any of the 2B viewers, please talk to one of us as soon as possible. I know we've had at least one person who's complained about it with before, and if they can get with Richie or Paul, and see if they can figure out what the issue is there. If not, we will they can arrange a time to bring in myself or Adam or one of the other devs and see if we can really dig into the issue there, because we certainly don't want anybody to hit that mandatory update and then not be able to run the 2B viewer. As far as we know, only one person has ever complained about that. So and there's no good reason for that. Like, the 2B series viewer actually is faster and more optimized and uses less resources than the 1B series viewer. So if there's some weird quirk about Unity 2018 specifically that doesn't work on their machine, we would really have to dig into what that is, because we're definitely not increasing performance requirements for it. Carson says he thinks the person he knows about already had this problem resolved, which hopefully is the case. But if it's not the case, if there is still somebody out there who is having trouble with it, they need to get to Richie or Paul as soon as possible, and we'll send that as high up the chain as we need to figure out what's causing that. Because if one person's having it, then maybe other people will in the future, and we want to nip that in the bud. It says somebody's having trouble seeing JPEGs. So Paul's aware of that, so we'll see if we can sort that issue out. But he apparently can run 2B now.
Sorry, but I'm in and out. I don't know if you covered reflections all around the scene. I have on my Mac, I'm having like, I see all of us up in the upper atmosphere,
All
a
right.
little bit magnified, and
Have
fences.
you tried playing with the graphics settings, like turning off? There's some options. There's actually is a reflections option in the graphics settings. If you turn that off, do they go away?
Do I have to relog for it to take effect?
No. Just click the settings button in the bottom right, the little gear icon next to your microphone, and then go to graphics. And at the bottom, there's a bunch of check boxes. If you turn off reflections, it should just take effect immediately.
Nope, it's still there. So it started when we did the when I think it was 2B57, and
Okay.
I figured
I
someone
would
would
have,
have sent
I would
something.
have to look
back.
exactly
Maybe
what
only
changed
I'm
in
doing
2B57.
getting it.
Possibly. I would. It was something to be like. For example, if you just click fastest right there on that little button at the top says fastest, that kind of turns most everything off, and I'd be curious if
Oh.
you still see them.
Okay, so I hit fast button, and it went away. Okay, so it's just
So what one
get-
of those options at the bottom, then one of those checkboxes is doing it. I would just turn them on one at a time until you see the reflections again, and then you'll know which one it is that's causing it. Might be bounce
Okay, it's
lighting. Bounce
between-
lighting can be problematic on some machines.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was just
it's
about to
between
say
medium
it's
and
probably
quality, but
bounce
like 5
lighting.
buttons go on, so I'll have to spend time figuring that. When I find
Yeah,
it, I'll
just-
let you know.
Yeah, just turn off all of the check marks, and then just start. You don't have to use the buttons at the top. Just the check marks at the bottom. Just start turning them on one at a time. They should take effect immediately. And if you click one and the reflections come back, then you know which one it is. So let us know when you get a second to
Bounce
try that.
lighting.
Yeah, that does
believe
not
it's-
surprise me. Yeah, the bounce lighting can cause a variety of weird issues depending on your graphics card in your machine. I think we
Okay,
actually
cool.
had it turned off by default at one point. If it's not, then it needs to be off by default anyway.
Yeah, because it was really just turning a scene into mirroring everywhere. and-
Yeah, like a mirror funhouse. Yeah.
So if somebody has that, I know how to fix it now. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Yeah. So yeah, just turn off bounce lighting. Bounce lighting is a kind of an advanced experimental feature. Like I said, it was off by default for a while. If I don't know why it's back on now, but yeah, it turns on with the quality. But we should probably just have it off by default all around unless somebody wants to explicitly enable it. Yeah. Okay. So let's see here. I've got. Yeah, actually, I have I have about 15 minutes left here where I can still answer some questions, and I do have to jump to another call probably afterwards. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to drop them in chat. If I've missed any, feel free to re-ask them because sometimes they disappear in the scroll back. But yeah, I think that's where we're at right now is Vivox and Fog and getting that 2B6 viewer out, and then we're ready to make that mandatory update. And the Vivox update is going to be worth it. I promise. Just the overall quality and reliability that's come from the update is just worth it alone. Plus, having the spatial by default. Yeah, I'm
To
hearing
be
myself
fair,
echo again.
yeah, that's me. I'm about to talk, so I needed the mic on. I was just going to add that I kind of feel it needs to be said that Vivox has performed extremely well today. There's apart from my mic echoing, but that's because you're in speakers. But generally, everybody's come through very fluently without any lag or cut-offs, mostly, apart from Surrey earlier. But everybody else has been very stable.
Yeah, no. Today it's been behaving itself, but that's always been the problem with Vivox is, we have good days and bad days, and we're on a quest to eliminate the bad days, and that's something that's not really on our end, but we're hoping that updating to the latest version of their tech is going to solve a lot of those up and down days, and that's something that's not just us. The Vivox has had hit and miss issues on their server for a lot of their SDKs. So we think they finally got it sorted out, that it's stable, and we're looking forward to being able to press that button and not wonder if it's a bad day for Vivox.
Yeah.
Yeah, good tip from Rob is that something else that everybody should keep in mind is keep your video drivers up to date. Generally, that's fairly easy these days. If you have like an NVIDIA card, when you install their drivers, it comes with GeForce Experience, which should do that for you automatically, unless you've got it turned off or didn't install that option. But it doesn't hurt to update your drivers on a regular basis. As Alicia points out, I think they just released a new version, a new driver a couple days ago. So I tend to update every few months just to keep current, and because I don't really have time or interest in updating it every single time they release a new one. Otherwise, I'd be spending half my day updating drivers. But yeah, every few months at least is a good idea, and especially if you're having some sort of acute problem right now, then going and updating your drivers is always a good first step because it eliminates that as a source of trouble if nothing else.
Yep.
And often they come with substantial speed increases as well because like Nvidia or AMD or whatever will make improvements to their own driver software, which can improve the performance of your video card in your computer just simply by adding a new driver without having to change anything else.
Or indeed fix bugs as well.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
can inadvertently fix problems with the sign space.
Yeah, it's not always just performance gains. Sometimes drivers can have bugs just like any other software, and that's that happens on a regular basis. They'll drop a new driver,
Mhm.
and somebody will be like, "Oh, this specific game over here doesn't work properly anymore." And then they release a new driver, and that specific game now does work properly. It just depends on how those drivers interact with the hardware, and you can create all sorts of weird things disappearing or things not looking right and stuff like that can all be caused by by a driver that's out of date or has a bug in it just as much as it can be caused by uh, the software of the game itself having a problem in it. So that's why it's usually a good idea, like, oh, I'm having a problem, update drivers first. If that doesn't fix it, then sort of rules out the driver at least partially and can look towards the software at that point.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, can't believe we're still manually updating in 2020. Yeah, a lot of people are. A lot of people, we talk to them and they either opted out of the automatic updates or automatic updates just aren't working. Like I've had periods where on my machine, Windows Update just refuses to update. It doesn't even give a reason. It's just like, oh, I tried to update and couldn't. And so, okay. I've had that before with graphics drivers too, where NVIDIA was like, hey, I downloaded this driver, but I can't install it myself. You do it. And I'm like, okay. You know? So
Yeah.
it's software. It's all software, and we all know how software can be temperamental from time to time. Sometimes it works perfectly. Yeah, yeah. Jamie says his sister's Windows update 10 updates are driving him crazy. Yeah, for some reason Windows 10. Sometimes my Windows 10 updater works, and sometimes it doesn't. And there's no changes on my computer. Just some day I'll wake up and it doesn't want to work that day, and other days it does. I don't know why it's so temperamental on Windows 10, but
I think
yeah.
everything with computers, and that the thing you're talking about boils down to my analogy that I draw with something like a car. What we've got with computers is the equivalent in car terms of having the one part of the engine made by one company, and then another totally different car company comes along and puts the seats and the chassis in, and then yet another company comes on without the spec of the first two companies and adds their steering wheels in, and you'd end up with a hybrid car that just would not work. And
Yeah,
yet
no,
computers
you're
fundamentally
you're
have to do that.
you're absolutely right. And there's actually a proper term for that. It's whenever you're doing like large scale software projects, especially where you've got more than one person working on them. But even if you've got a single person working on them, you tend to work on it in bits and pieces. Like, oh, I'm gonna do
Yeah.
the character I'm going to build the character model, then I'm going to build the vehicle system, and then I'm going to build the quest system and these kind of things, and you tend to build those sort of in a vacuum, and then you have to put them
Hmm.
together and make them work, and that's called integration testing. And so that happens all the way up the chain from the, okay, I made this function, now this function has to work with a different
Yeah.
function, to this large chunk of the software has to work with other large chunks of the software, and then that keeps going up
Hmm.
further to now my software has to work with other software on the computer. And so
Yeah.
that's all the way up the chain. That is absolutely where most problems come in, is like, this works flawlessly by itself, but when you stick it into a group project with 20 other pieces of software or 20 other pieces of code, that's typically
Yep.
where you run into all your problems.
Exactly. And we still expect them to work. And yet, I mean, I'm terrible for it myself. I don't know how many programs I've got installed from how many companies, and the exist and share code with Windows, interact with Windows. I'm amazed that my computer doesn't crash every 10 minutes, to be honest.
Yeah, that is a fair point. It's actually almost a wonder that they do work as well as they do.
Mm.
It's a lot of
Yeah.
that's down to, we give Microsoft and Apple and whatnot a lot of shit over their operating system when it doesn't work right. But
Yeah.
To be fair, it's actually the operating system spends all of its time hurting cats, and it's a wonder
Yeah.
that it doesn't fall down more often than it does.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, maybe we should reflect and think about that the next time we're all swearing at our computers because they're not doing something. There's an
Yeah.
awful lot going on in the background there that our brains couldn't handle. So let's not blame the computers because they reach a point where they've had enough.
Yeah, it's and Sidearm saying this is why there are standards organizations that work up until a certain point of complexity has achieved, and then they throw it out and start over. Because oftentimes building stuff to work backwards with legacy systems is actually can take more work and more time and more expense than just starting over and rewriting it from scratch with the new system.
Definitely.
So yeah, that's
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
a very common thing is okay, that we've had this software product for 10 years, throw it away and start over, and keep going up. And to an extent we do that when we do major Unity version jumps. Oftentimes that's basically what we're doing is we're throwing away the main engine underneath, bringing in a whole new engine. And sometimes that involves us saying, okay, well, this whole thing has to go and that whole thing has to go, and we'll build a new version on top of it that's compatible and takes advantage of the new engine capabilities. And when we do that, of course, we always keep content. We never throw away content, the regions and the clothes and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. But the actual code that renders and displays all of that, oftentimes we're like, you know what, this is not worth the time to keep this old code. Let's throw the old code out and start over with some new code, which is actually faster and will end up better in the end for it than trying to jerry rig older systems to work with newer engines. It can be a
Yeah.
complicated process, but it's just again reiterating with that, we never throw away content. We always want to keep content. Anything that gets uploaded to the platform, it's just internal stuff in the viewer. Sometimes it's easier to throw away and start over.
Yeah.
I-
Yeah.
Actually did that a month or two ago with our whole voice zone, audio zone subsystem. It was so old, and to add all the features that we wanted it to do, that people had been requesting and new stuff, it was going to be harder to add those features onto the existing voice zone management system than it was to simply throw that away and write a new one from scratch.
Yeah. Yeah, in my old days of programming, I'm talking too many years ago to do the maths on it. I had to go in and take over a project which did involve looking at people's code, and
Yeah, you cut out there. I'm not sure if you were
method was
finished
to
or not.
rewrite them.
Yeah, you're cutting in and out there, Paul. You're out at the moment, so nobody can hear you. Oh, and he's gone. I think Paul's internet connection died, which I guess good timing at the top of the hour because that probably cut off our stream to to YouTube and Twitch there. I'm sure he'll be back in a moment though.
Richie's
Si-
streaming today, so it's still going.
Oh, okay, so we're great then. All right, we just lost Paul then. Sidearm is sharing an amusing webcomic about integrating legacy systems. Yeah, that is completely accurate. A giant Jenga tower of products supported by one tiny little piece that is absolutely necessary and only one person knows how to maintain. We try to avoid those sorts of bottleneck issues. Sometimes it can take some time to bring a new person up to speed on somebody else's project that they've been working on for years and years. But there's nothing in science-based project I think that qualifies at that level, except maybe um, some stuff that Adam has been working on. Might take a while for some of the rest of us to get our noodle around, but overall, I think we can. We have a lot of people who can move around between different parts of the project. You want to get on Science-Base on your Pentium 166 MMX? Woo! That's like an antique now. You still have one of those? Might get some money for it just for collector's value.
I'm
Hey,
sure
welcome
I've
back,
got a
Paul.
few MMX Thank you. Yeah, I crashed. It was because I was updating my graphics card mid-session, so obviously that messed everything up with
Yeah,
Sciencebase.
Pro tip: don't update your graphics card driver while you're using your graphics card driver.
Yeah.
Not usually a good idea.
I just thought I'd try it and see if NVIDIA could cope with keeping the graphics going. It can't.
Well, no, because it has to completely delete and unload the old driver and then load the new one in. So there's no coming back from
Yeah.
that.
It lasted for a little while. I just black screened, but the audio was still going. So I should possibly have said I might disappear any moment. But before I could get that out, I did. Anyway, we're on the hour now. Are we tying up? Have we got any more questions quickly, or
If,
did I
if there's one or
interrupt
two more
anything?
questions, then I might be able to answer them. I did promise somebody a call in a few minutes. So if you have any more questions, please feel free to drop them in. I'll see if I can answer one or two more before I take off here. But I think we're getting ready to wrap up here.
Yeah, I've got a call too, actually.
Yeah. Unfortunately, as much as we'd like to have these conversations forever, other people are like, "Hey, we were on your schedule."
Yeah.
I'd just like to compliment the new format. I like less hosting and kind of keeping us on track, and Josh having I don't know how you perceive it, Josh, but I feel like you're more relaxed because you know when you're on and off, and it just helps to have two people running the flow, I feel. So kudos. Over.
Yeah, it does help because
Oh, good.
oftentimes I'm coming over here directly from other calls. Like I'm just like call, and this is one of those calls essentially. So sometimes I jump in like I came off from another call 30 seconds ago. Let me switch gears here, and so yeah, it does help to have an opening act. To kind of get things started in case I'm a few minutes late and everything's not quite so rushed at the beginning.
I'll bring my
we-
tap shoes next week.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, I'll do a dance, and that'll be the opening act.
Okay. Well, let's wrap it up there then. Thank you everyone for coming. We're gonna try and mix it up, like I said, every week and do something a little bit different, whether it's something just informative or bringing in some guests to add to the conversation as well. So look forward to a little bit of variety from week to week.
Yep. So, but we're glad you've noticed and that you kind of like where things are going. So yeah, it's good all round. Awesome.
Yep, sounds good.
Thanks
Okay.
everybody for coming. Yep.
Yep. Have a great week
we'll-
and have a great weekend, and we will see everyone next week.
Yep. Thanks, Josh. Thanks, Richie, who's done the streaming as well, and Dixie. Catch you all next week. Bye bye.
Hey, bye bye.